focused on predicting. This is problem solving. Today, our finalist teams have the opportunity to guide us through their in-depth presentation. I'm Hannah Davis. I'm a second year management information systems student.
My name is Zoe Smith, and I'm the professor of computer science student. Today, both of us are members of the business and technology professionals of Saunders.
So, business and technology professionals, also known as BTP, focuses on building leadership skills through different opportunities such as networking, and then also technical knowledge expansion through workshops and different guest speakers.
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to move slightly to that corner there, so that we can also see your face online.
So our teams have spent countless hours in preparation for this competition. We're excited to see our hard work in action. This cohort has had the highest quality submissions to date. So round one, there was 53 submissions, 6 international teams, 47 Rochester-based teams, 31 undergraduate teams, and 22 graduate teams.
For our round 2 competition, we had 12 submissions, in addition to several who did not submit but participated in numerous workshops. In this pool of applicants, we had 1 non-Rochester team, 1 international team, and then 10 Rochester-based teams. These consist of 2 undergraduate teams as well as 10 graduate teams.
We would like to send thanks to all of our judges for their participation and eagerness to assist in this event. So a special thanks to judges who are not attending today: Ali Tosialo, Jim Tang, Vic Perotti, and then Mia Hu. And then thank you to our esteemed panel of judges today, consisting of Nan Wu, Director of MS and Business Analytics at Saunders College of Business; Sean Hansen, the Department Chair of MIS Marketing and Digital Business Department at Saunders College of Business; Matt Phillips, the Vice President of Health Informatics at Rochester Regional Health; Brett Wallace, Director of Analytics and Data Management at Hill; Jason DiAugustino, the Corporate Director of Revenue Management at Vision Hotels; and then on Zoom with us today, Wendy Merrick's CIO of Virgin Hotels. All the judges give a wave to our participants. Thank you for attending today.
Now we want to present our finalists. Our first team presentation is a gold medalist in enlisted. This group is all undergraduate students. They're a very dedicated team. Currently it's 10 p.m. in China, but they have support from over 110 students in their cohort, bringing them on. Let's show them in the Zoom to our supporters.
Let's see. This one. So. So this is so try to spotlight them. Oh, I have to stop share screen. 1 second.
So as we can see up here, we have all of their supporters, and then we also have the team up in front ready to present.
In the audience, can you give us a shout?
This audience or the BGT?
Yeah, yes. So there are about 100 of them in that audience right now. Try to be there to support the team.
Keith, get us a shout.
Yeah.
Get us a shout out.
You did right now.
Go!
There you go. Right.
Sorry.
Maybe okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Our second team for presentation is business as usual. This is a group of undergraduate data science students from RIT.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear you. Give us 1
Okay.
second. Let us introduce the second and third team, then your team can start to present.
So
Okay.
Playing the first prize in the first round competition, and they continue to show great results. Now our third team is Robo Analytics, a group of Masters of Business Analytics students from the University of Rochester. We're very excited to have them all here today.
And now we're going to start off with our gold medal analysis team, and we'll give them the stage.
Thank you. So let's see. I'm gonna have to spotlight this guy. Can everybody see the presentations from the gold medal analysis online? Yeah. I want to make sure you guys looking at it. Okay, good. Thank you. So you guys all set. Go ahead. Chuan Chan.
Leo, is it possible to see the team as well?
Good questions. Yes, I can do that.
That's a big ask. Now it's in Zoom.
It's the management of information systems, not necessarily the
Okay.
information systems.
So I have to do 2 bits. This one.
But they're doing the presentation in the background of theirs, it might be okay.
It's going to have to be like this. I'm trying to figure out if I.
You spotlight them and minimize that gallery to a single video. In the upper left hand corner.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's good to have smart people in the room.
Sorry, Leo, can you just do one more thing?
Yeah.
Over the QR code.
That QR code is. Oh, it's. All right.
Okay.
We good, right? Okay. All right, go ahead. Team gold medal analysis.
So, a late good morning to all the judges and participants at the RIT main campus, and good evening to the person who is still here. Thanks for coming. My name is Li Chang, and I'm the group leader of the gold medal analysis team. So next, I will introduce our group member to you first. We have Zhou Yan, Zhou. Wu Qiong, Junhao, and Fei Yang. We are all the first-year undergraduate students from RIT China Weihai campus and majoring in management information system. So in the next 30 minutes, our team will present our business analysis on how to maximize the potential revenue of GHR. So let's begin with the problem description.
Thanks, Li Chang. And now let's first get started with the business scenario. As we all know that luxury hotels faces problems between establishing a commendable reputation and earning profits. Just take the example of a bank who gives every person who enters their lobby $1 to attain a positive reputation within the community to attract more customers. But soon enough, the bank may find themselves facing the situation of bankruptcy because of giving away too much. Now, our client, the GHR hotel brand, faces quite the same problem in a hotel located in Lisbon, Portugal. The beneficial policy of the hotel are causing the loss of total revenue. So our task is to try to maximize the potential revenue. To try to do it, we must first learn about what aspects affect the calculation of the revenue. The average daily rate times days represent the value gained from hotel stays. However, we must consider the loss caused from free upgrades and last-minute cancellations. Free upgrade is a hotel providing benefits for people of varying age ranges who comes from far away aiming to have a vacation in Lisbon. For instance, an American family aged 6 to 60 comes to Lisbon to spend their spring vacation. The hotel provides these individuals with free accommodation changes from standard room to luxury family villas, to build the reputation. Due to this and the possibility of the original room being vacant as well, there is a resulting loss, same as the last-minute cancellations. It most commonly occurs among middle-aged individuals who are on business trips, making hotel reservations within the European continent. Just think about the businessman suddenly having new arrangements, resulting in itinerary changes, thus causing unprepared cancellations for the hotel. If the consumer cancels their reservations within 3 days of their scheduled arrival date, it often leaves the hotel with insufficient time to find another customer. Therefore, there is a loss. So these are two major ways we are going to consider that cause the loss. With all three aspects mentioned above, we can come up with this formula to calculate the exact revenue earned by the hotel. Based on the formula, our project for GHR has three objectives. First is to discuss the effects of upgrades on revenue and build a predictive model. In the same way, we'll do it in the second part for last-minute cancellations. Third, we need to present our business strategies to maximize the potential revenue based on previous analysis. As shown in the picture, this flowchart introduces the process of our team's work. We started by data cleaning, formatting, and preparation, then followed by model training and prediction. With the prediction, we can come up with our business strategies to maximize the potential revenue. Through the analysis and strategies, we could potentially plummet the revenue loss from free upgrades by 73%, as well as plunge the revenue loss for last-minute cancellations by 76%. Assuming all the strategies come into effect, we could rise the potential revenue from 26 million euros to 27.5 million euros by 5%. To show how we managed to do this, next, we'll have Wu Qun to present the data preparation part.
Thanks, Joyen. As is known, our hotel dataset comprises a wealth of information. More than 90,000 rows of our booking data for the guest, a GHR spanning from 2015 to 2017, containing about 28 variables. Before embarking on our data analysis, we discarded the column named Booking Company. That nearly 95% of its rows were labeled as not applicable. By removing rows with misaligned data, we witnessed a nullification of nearly 11,000 rows and one variable named Booking Company. Then we introduced a new variable named number of holidays, denoting the count of holidays between check-in and check-out dates. Enriched our dataset with additional insights. Following these steps, we arrived at a dataset boasting 28 explanatory variables, 27 from the original set, and one named number of holidays. In our pursuit of refining our analytical capabilities, we embarked on a transformation initiative. This involved converting all the numeric variables into the data type float for accuracy. For instance, the price of a night is $30, is now written as $30.00, unifying the precision, while all the categorical variables were transformed into the data type int to streamline our data analysis. For instance, we converted the nations like Portugal, Brazil, etc. into the numbers like 1, 2, 3, and so on, simplifying our processing. This process laid the groundwork for further calculation and predictive analysis. Subsequently, we got into the calculation of revenue gain from hotel stays, where the formula was derived as follows. ADR represents the average daily rate. Let's ADR multiplied by the night, and we can easily get the revenue. In terms of the revenue loss from free upgrades, if the reserved room equals to the assigned room, we don't have any loss. If not, that is when a person enjoys the free upgrade. The daily loss will be the average daily rate of the assigned room at the week the customer check-in, minus the price of the reserved room. The revenue loss from free upgrade can be treated as an opportunity cost from this formula, where this notation represents the mean price of the assigned room at the week the customer check-in, and let the outcome multiply by the night, and we get the revenue loss. Noting the original strategy that if a person cancels his 5-day reservation 3 days before check-in, the cost of 1 night will be deducted, while the cost of the rest 4 nights given back to the person. Applying the same calculation process, the formula of the revenue loss stemming from last minute cancellation was straightforward, where this notation delta signifies the number of days prior to the arrival at the time of cancellation. Through these formulas, we get 3 explained variables: revenue from hotel stays, loss from free upgrade, and loss from cancellation. And we add them to our data set, accomplishing our data preparation. It lays the foundation for our data analysis. Thank you for your attention, and let us embrace our transformative potential within our data. Next, we will have Li Zhang to present his fine work on data analysis.
Thanks, Wuqiong. As mentioned before, the hotel's potential revenue is calculated like this. It is undoubted that we can increase the potential revenue from the hotel stays, or decrease the potential revenue loss from either free upgrades or the last-minute cancellation to increase the potential revenue. Although it is possible to adjust the average daily rate to increase the potential revenue from the hotel stays, the price-sensitive travelers often access hotels' websites several times before they travel. Due to the revenue management practices, these deal-seeking customers are more likely to observe that the room rates change considerably over the time. Therefore, it's not a good choice to adjust the average daily rate. Hence, the following analysis will primarily focus on how to decrease the potential revenue loss from free upgrades and the last-minute cancellation. So let's look at the free upgrade first. So for example, when I got the booking information, I called him Charles. I naturally want to know if we can foretell the potential loss based on this information. So what we need to do now is to predict the probabilities that the customer will end up with the different room types that he reserved, and use the method mentioned above to calculate the potential loss via the mathematical expectation. I will show you what does it mean now. So for example, the probabilities the customer will end up with the room type A is 20%, equals to room B, room C, room D, room E, and make a sum is 100%. And then we can calculate each scenario separately and make a sum. We can get the potential loss. So next, we come to the most important part. We need an accurate model to predict that probabilities. We have chose 5 very common models. So the first one is the Gaussian-Naive Bayes. So only the mean and variance of each feature need to be calculated. So the computational of the Gaussian-Naive Bayes is low. So So it's also assumed that the features are conditionally independent of each other. So meaning that the contribution of each feature to the classification is independent. We also chose the largest regression. The largest regression is a simple and efficient algorithm with fast computation speed and is suitable for large-scale data sets. And we also chose the L1 regularization largest regression, which has a good stability for cases where there is a strong correlation between the variables. We also chose the L2 regularization largest regression, which can effectively to avoid overfitting problems by decreasing the objective function of model complexity. Last, we have the random forest model. The random forest model can use the multiply decision trees for integrated prediction, which reduces the variance of the model and improves the prediction accuracy. So the largest regression is computationally effective, but cannot handle the non-linearities in the data. On the contrary, the random forest is able to handle non-linearities in the data, but it's computationally ineffective. So after fitting our aforementioned 5 model with our data set, we observed that the random forest model outperforms than the other 4 in terms of its F1 score is 1, which showcased its best predictive power in this scenario. Next, let's look at the last-minute cancellation. Unlike the free upgrade, what we need to predict now is whether or not this cancellation is going to happen. So for example, that's going to say the probabilities of cancellation is 60%, and we can use the 60% to multiply the last-minute cancellation loss to get the potential loss. We chose the same 5 model mentioned above, and after fitting this 5 model with our data set, we find that the random forest outperformed than other 4 again, which showcased its best predictive power in this scenario. So next, I will show you our predict process. So after the data cleaning, data formatting, and data preparation, we come to the step 4, model training. First, we need to choose a model, and then we put layer 1, layer 2 to layer N into the model. So if the model gives us the highest F1 score, we come to the next step, step 5, predict. We put the booking information into the several decision trees and to calculate the averaging, and then we can get the probability of free upgrades and the last-minute cancellation. So if the model doesn't give us the highest F1 score, we come back to the first part of the step 4, and we need to choose another model. Also, the random forest model has some limitation. It always overfitting of the model if there are too many trees or if the depth of the tree is too large. Also, when dealing with a large scale of the data size, the computational complexity of the random forest model is high. Next, we'll have Junhao to give us the business analysis.
Thanks, Li Chang. In the following part, I'm gonna tell you the problem of the solution of the free upgrade in GHR Hotel, a specific case of James family. There's no doubt that the free upgrades, which means our customers can enjoy higher level of the room types and experiences, will cause us to lose the revenue. When the accommodations for the demand has increased significantly, this phenomenon will be more common. So in the short term, we found that the upgrades will enhance our users' confidence. But in the long term, from the different perspective of our users groups and our hotel operators, we found that this solution doesn't effective. So from the perspective of our customers, the occasional upgrade opportunities can indeed improve their satisfaction and confidence for us. But if it can't be applied to the long term of the consumption of experiences, the inner expectations of our users will be frustratedly deep, which is even deeper than the same level, bringing us more loss of the revenue. For our hotel operators, the users groups that are attached by our free upgrade opportunities doesn't hold a higher level of the base, which means when facing the price fluctuations, they are more likely to lose the confidence for us to choose another hotels. So which give us a more negative impact on our profit margins. So how do we address the problem of loss and try to find out the potential revenue? We target the process information in Lisbon hotel of GHR, and we use a predictive analysis and refundable fees to optimize our solution path. During the peak season, the GHR hotel in Lisbon are visited by the group of members of the James family who are committed to make their stay here enjoyable and wonderful, and are more likely to enjoy the free opportunities. So just like the PowerPoint shows us, first, we collect the booking information, and then we select the several models to simulate the basic informations and expectations of our users. And after repeatedly testing, we found that the random forest hold the best fitting day grade. So for our target users, the James family, we investigate their users' past stay experiences, their preferences, their solutions to obtain a comprehensive of their expectations. Like the Mr. James, he wants to play the football games. Mrs. James prefer church culture, and little James, the junior James, is more eager to watch the beach. After the whole process, we turned it into a visual loss of the revenue. If the James family booked a random room of A and they move into A successfully, that's great. There's no loss of them. And if they upgrade into the next level of B, we will keep that fees for us. So secondly, for the users groups who are more likely to get the free upgrade opportunities, we ensure that the ADR, which is the average daily rate, is the same as other groups. And then according to the different needs, personalized the fees that support to refund at any time is listed as a deposit. By the way, it is listed separately. And for our target users, the James family, we charge them the fees of the upgrades. And if the upgrades didn't happen, it's not successful, we will keep that fees. So after repeatedly testing, we arrive at a surprising conclusion that the potential revenue of GHR hotel in Lisbon is increased by 1.79%. So for our target users, the James family, a good news for us is they just paid less, but for a higher level of accommodations and experiences, and had a wonderful, memorable days in beautiful seaside Lisbon in our hotel, GHR. So next, let's welcome Fei Yang to give us another business analysis about last-minute cancellation. Welcome.
Thanks to Junhao. Now let me introduce to you the strategy that JHR Hotel tackle last-minute cancellation. There was a case of William, a local businessman in Europe. Undoubtedly, due to the cancellation being so close to the check-in time, we may face difficulties in rebooking the room in a short period, leading to vacancy and potential revenue loss. In the short term, the most direct impact of last-minute cancellations is the loss of hotel revenue. Once the customer cancels, the hotel not only forfeits the revenue loss from that room, but also faces the risk of long-term vacancy due to the difficulty in rebooking quickly. Simultaneously, last-minute cancellations may disrupt the hotel's revenue management. In the long run, frequent last-minute cancellations may disrupt the may erode the customers' trust and satisfaction in the hotel's reputation and service quality. For employees, they have to handle last-minute cancellation urgently, adding to their psychological stress and workload. So how do we address the revenue loss caused by last-minute cancellation and explore potential income? Now, let's focus on the JHR hotel chain in Lisbon, Portugal. They utilize data predictive analysis and refundable cancellation fees to optimize solutions. Take Williams, a local European businessman, for example. He was scheduled to sign a contract in Lisbon, but unfortunately, his counterparty encountered unexpected issues, preventing him from attending. JHR, on the other hand, had already predicted the probability of last-minute cancellations using a highly accurate random forest model. Considering William's personal information, expectations, booking duration, and room type, they calculated the personal cost by our proposed method. With only 3 days before William's trip, JHR had already estimated the potential revenue loss, clearly state on the payment breakdown separate from the ADR, explaining the reasons for the fee in details. Therefore, William couldn't obtain the full refund. William's trip was not only unsuccessful in signing the contract, but also cost him a nice accommodation, making it a disappointing experience. However, due to the hotel's accurate prediction, the measure reduced the revenue loss from the last-minute cancellations by 76.49%. Therefore, the hotel could give Mr. Williams some compensation, such as a discount on his booking or complimentary breakfast and lunch to maximize his satisfaction. In summary, we minimize the hotel's revenue loss and improve the Williams' satisfaction with his trip. Now, let's have Li Cheng to show us his presentation test.
So after we provide those strategies, the people always want to know if these strategies work out. So we make 3 hypothesis tests to make sure our strategy work out. We make a known hypothesis that the potential revenue of applying our strategy is lower than does not applying that. But the t-test reject our hypothesis, which means our strategy is statistically significant. So as the last-minute cancellation and the both strategy, which means our strategies are all work out. Last, we will have Junhao to give us a brief summary.
Dear judges and contestants, after going through the 5 presentation stage of the problem description, data preparation, statistical analysis, and business analysis, I believe you must have the further understanding of our business strategy. In terms of the data technology, we use quantification, preview, simulation, triple analysis. So first of all, the loss of the revenue caused by the last-minute cancellations and free upgrades is statistically defined so that we can qualify the whole process successfully. Then several models were selected for us, and we, after repeated testing, we found that the random forest have the best fitting degree, and the result is the most reliable and accurate. In the end, we collected the data with our users to simulate the impact of the charging last-minute cancellation fees and upgrade fees on our profit margins. So about the business analysis, we use what, why, and how perspective analysis. In this part, we put more attention than our users' inner expectations than the data itself. So first of all, we examined the basic informations like what is the last-minute cancellations and what is the free upgrades are and why there's a loss among them. Then from the different perspective of the hotel operators and our users, we examine the impact of the short-term welfare strategies in the long term of the reasons. We found that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages clearly, which gives us clearly a picture of our problem. So in the end, we position our target user as a family. Combined with their preference and detailed information, we give them the solutions to help them a problem to solve. And all in all, after repeated testing, we assume that the both work at the same time. We found that the potential revenue of GHR could soar by 28%. That's amazing numbers. So in the digital area, how to help our hotels to transform and upgrade, to jump out of the business dilemma and realize their improvement of intelligence are undoubtedly becoming a problem faced by many operators of the business. And our team, our group members, give us initiative direction about using technique means to simulate and predict, applying customization to personalize our users' programs. So only by combining the data technology and business analysis, we believe that we can predict our users' expectations and scenarios more accurately to expand our recognition of our brand and inject continuous vitality into the development of GHR Hotel. Thank you.
So next comes to the Q&A part. Our team in campus.
So to the judging panel, who wants to offer the first question?
Go first. So there's a decision made during the data cleansing process to remove, or sorry, I'm just looking back at my notes real quick. To remove the booking company column, I believe, or flag that was in the data set itself. The primary reason that was spoken about was that there was, I believe, either null or NAs associated with a large amount of the files there. Was there any sort of other factors that were weighed before that was removed from the data set?
So before we data cleaning, we use the Excel to use the Excel to find that the booking company have, so with almost parts is NA, so we move them out of our data.
Right, will just be passing by these in terms of the impact of that field, though, was there anything outside of just the lack of input from certain rows that was considered a part of the removal strategy?
So before we put it into the predictive model, we found that this data didn't have some impact on our results, so we removed them out of our data. And it had no mean impact for our predict.
Neil, can you put it back up? I feel kind of weird.
Okay.
Question enough. Thank you. So the upgrades, specifically your analysis of the upgrades shows quite a seasonality, right? So the losses associated with the upgrades were largely in looked like late summer or maybe early fall in the year. Did you consider potential impacts by introducing a seasonal strategy? Yes. A seasonal strategy, so that rather than implementing this around the year, maybe implement it within a given season to see if you could get most of the impact with a relatively small intervention.
Oh, sorry, we just put the number of holidays into our data, but we don't consider the seasonal in our business analysis. So maybe it's what we leak off.
Open Sean real quick in the holidays. What was the impact? I know we talked about the model at a high level, but how much did the holidays influence your output? Bigger than okay.
So
Did you catch that? What is the impact of the holidays on your analysis?
So we just put it into our data, but we don't separately consider the number of holidays. So maybe it's what we lack of.
On the upgrades, there are times that we need to upgrade rooms or people in the hotels because the hotel may be lacking what's called straight line availability. And that's a scenario where you may have a customer who's in for 3 or 4 nights for room A, room category A. But on one of those nights, you are out of that room type. So you need to upgrade that person for the length of their stay. Was that incorporated at all into the analysis?
That may be a limitation of the data set. We do not provide the students enough data to really look into that. Would you say that, Vic?
Except to Sean's point, that there's seasonality that indicates when the hotel is most full or not full. So you can try to generalize. The summer, late summer, early fall is when those rooms will be.
Always a straight line issue, but
yeah. Actually, I take it back. Students can get to the questions. But not what we see in all of the teams. That's a very difficult questions to get to. Excellent questions, but it's quite difficult to get to.
Yeah, we didn't provide for them any straight way to understand whether all of any one room type is occupied at any given day. So it would be an effort to try to figure that out from the data that we provide.
So, hi guys. I'll say very good presentation skills. And I know it's challenging for you in the Zoom to present. I think you guys did a good job to project your voice and really, I think got our attention of judge students, right? And I like the way that in the beginning that you tell a good story. And also did a good job to make a good summary of the result in the beginning, so we get the whole picture. Okay, I have one question is when you talk about the predictive model, so you specify, one model. Do you have any comparison with a different predictive model and why this model is chosen?
So we chose this 5 model because it's the most common model to predict the data. And we chose the largest regression because it cannot handle the non-linear data, but it's computationally is effective. And we chose the random forest model to because it can handle the non-linearities data. So we chose those 5. And we chose the largest regression and the L1 regularization largest and the L2 largest regularization largest to make sure the largest model fitting the data size better.
Okay, good, thank you. And I know you have a full class there to support you guys, and I will be in Weihai this summer, and Professor Bui will be in Weihai this summer. So look forward to see you guys on site.
in person.
We also have Wendy online. So Wendy, do you have any comment for the teams?
I do. First, I want to reiterate I'm sorry, I don't know who was just speaking, but it's tough getting in front of a crowd, and I think you guys did a great job. It's a great presentation. So congratulations on that. My question, though, is regarding the cancellations. If I followed what you were saying, you were offering upgrades or, excuse me, some sort of way to appease the guest, which has an inherent cost in and of itself. Did you include that in here? And that was my first question. And the second one is, were you looking at any sort of the data to actually do something from a cost standpoint on the upfront on the fees themselves and when they're charged?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again? It's just a bit fast for us to understand. Sorry.
It's okay, that's okay. The first question is, if I understood what you were proposing, for when guests cancel, you were looking to help them in a way by offering them meals or something else in that. Did you include the cost of those in your analysis of the revenue you gain by not having the cancellation?
We didn't consider cost of the meals, so, yeah.
Okay, so my
When
second
we,
question, yeah?
Sorry, one additional note in here. In the data set, we did not provide a student the cost of the meal. So it may be difficult for students to do that.
No, I understand. However, if I understood what was being proposed, that was a way being introduced into the mix,
Yeah.
which has a cost.
Yes. Yep.
So my
Well
other question
considered.
was,
Sorry.
so my other question was there any sort of thought taken to when the cancellation fee was addressed and what that would do?
Oh. Once the consumer cancels and the fee will come back to his account.
Yes, I was asking of the timing of the fee.
I mean, fee.
It's okay. I think you've answered my question.
Yeah, it didn't cost any timing fee.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from the judge? No. All right, let's give them a round of applause. Good job. And right on time, 40 minutes, so good job too.
Put the audience up so Olivia can.
Yes.
Honored to see that group of 100 people. But there's also like the whole audience of 100 students.
All right, yeah.
Thanks.
So stay there, team of gold medal analysis. Stay there for a minute. We want to take a picture of you guys.
Yeah, come back.
Hey, come back.
Come back. Don't leave.
Come back. Come back, team gold medal analysis. Come back to the main. Oh, they left. Okay. Okay. All right. So, you guys want to? Oh, they back. How about the video from the? Let me see. I don't. Do you guys have the video from your audience? The camera.
There we go.
Sorry, we turned off before because it's a little bit late in China, so the students.
We're gonna take picture of you guys. Stay there. Look to the camera. Okay, good. Thank you. Right.
We would just like to thank the gold medal analysis team. They did an amazing job. It was a beautiful presentation and an elegant analysis. So now we're going to introduce our next team.
Yes, so as mentioned, for our second presentation today, we have business as usual. These are our graduate data science students from RIT. And this team claimed the first prize in the first round of the competition and has continued to show great results. We're excited to see your presentation and good luck.
You guys want to stand over there so that you don't block the presentations? And 1 second, let me set this up because you guys need the clicker. Yeah. Business as usual.
Yes.
So hold on, let me set this up here first. Zoom. Yes, no, it's- Yes. Okay, I think we ready. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a great honor to have all those different audience here to watch our presentation on global hotels and resorts analysis. We are Team Business as usual. I'm Harshita Binagraj and this is Rahul Pengiri. Let me introduce our client, Global Hotels and Resorts, in short, GHR. GHR is a top European hotel brand who recently acquired a prominent hotel in Lisbon, Portugal. GHR has hired our team to help them address the following tasks. One, to help them maximize their potential revenue. And two, GHR currently lacks the exact cost calculation for free upgrades and want us to help with it. And three, to build predictive model for upgrades. And fourth, to improve their current cancellation policy.
Oh, wait. Why is China? There you go.
Now that we have reviewed objectives of GHR, let us shift our focus on agenda of today's presentation. So first we'll be talking about how we prepared the data set given to us for analysis. Then we'll be talking about how we calculated the exact upgrade loss, cancellation loss, and revenue. And third, we'll be talking about how we build the predictive model for upgrades. And fourth, we'll be talking about how we can improve the current cancellation policy at GHR. And in the fifth section, we'll be exploring other areas where we can possibly increase the revenue. And then we'll be concluding with Q&A. Let's see how we prepared the data. Giving a quick overview of dataset consists of 94,364 rows and 28 columns, spanning from Q4 of 2015 to Q4 of 2017, and it documents booking reservations at GHR. And some of the columns include reserve room, lead time, market segment, assigned room, etc. GHR in total has 7 room types, A to G, with ABCD group as deluxe and EFG group as executive room type. Next, we did thorough data cleaning. We checked for data duplicates and we found some null values in the data and we handled them appropriately. Next, to help with our analysis, we created some new columns. Some of the interesting columns would include ADR category, where we grouped ADR into quantile-based categories for effective rate analysis. Then we segmented length of stay, lead time, market category into some useful categories for segmentation analysis.
Okay, so let's first talk about how we calculated the revenue. So this is the formula that we use to calculate the revenue. So the potential revenue is the sum of the revenue gain from both hotel stays and also from non-refundable cancellations. And from this, we need to subtract the losses due to free upgrades and the losses due to last-minute cancellations. We'll get to how we calculate the losses from free upgrades and cancellations later on. But now first, let us look at what is an upgrade. So let's say a customer has reserved a room type A, but upon his arrival, he is assigned a room type B or G, something that is alphabetically higher. So that means that the customer has been upgraded. Now, why would GHR be giving away free upgrades? Well, there could be two reasons. One is overbooking. Just like the airline industry, hotels sell more rooms than what is available for a given night. So the hotel is betting that some customers are going to cancel or not show up. So this serves as an offset against the losses due to these cancellations. So, but sometimes it happens that everyone shows up. So some of the customers might have to be upgraded to vacant higher tier rooms. Another reason could be that some guests are loyal customers. So on the special occasions like anniversaries or their honeymoon trips, just GHR gives them free upgrades just to maintain customer loyalty. So now let us look at what is an upgrade loss. Let's consider this scenario. This is room type A and it has been overbooked. So let's say the 6th customer comes in. Now, since there is no room type A available, we upgrade them to room type G, which has a vacant room. So here, this is better as room type G would have been left out as unsold inventory. But now we have given it to somebody. But however, room type A, let's say typically sells for around 20 euros a night, and room type G sells for 50 euros a night. But we're giving away that room for just 20 euros a night. So that's a 30 euro loss for GHR. Can upgrades be profitable? Well, sometimes yes. Consider this scenario. So room type A and room type B are very similar rooms and are priced similarly as well. There might be like very small differences, like one might offer Wi-Fi and the other does not. So here room A is priced for 20 euros a night and room B is typically priced for 25 euros per night. And as usual, room type A has been overbooked. But let's say due to lack of demand, GHR has temporarily lowered room type B's cost to around 18 euros just to attract more bookings and fill up those rooms. However, if this was overbooked and the customer shows up, now we are giving away that room for the original price for which the customer booked. Although this is a very rare case, there are some instances in the data set. But how do we establish the typical selling price? Because the ADR that is mentioned in the data set is encompassing of everything, like the number of guests, the number of special requests they made, the booking meal plan and everything. So we just taking the monthly average would simply not work. So we use this method. So first, let's say a customer has been upgraded from room A to room G. So first we take a look at all of his booking attributes. And then we go through all of our previous bookings for room type G with the same attributes. So then we will find out similar bookings as this and then take the average and establish a typical selling price. So once that is established, we can calculate the profit or loss. Okay, now coming to cancellation loss. So according to GHR, a last minute cancellation is when a customer cancels within 3 days of their arrival date. So anything prior to that is considered as an advance cancel. So here we're assuming that GHR has the ability to fill its rooms if it was an advance cancel with another customer. Therefore, we're assuming that the loss due to that is 0 because it's being filled by another customer. However, if it was non-refundable, GHR gets to keep the entire revenue for that stay. So we have indicated that with a negative sign. And coming to last minute cancellations, here GHR cannot fill that room because of the lack of time. So here in this case, if it was if the customer did not make a deposit or if it was a refundable booking, then GHR stands to lose the entire revenue for that stay. However, according to GHR's current cancellation policy, the penalty for last minute cancellation is the cost of one night stay, so which we have subtracted from that loss. And similarly, again, if it was non-refundable, we get to keep that revenue. That has been indicated there. Okay, finally, let's talk money. So GHR has made 20.4 million euros from hotel stays and also non-refundable cancellations, and has lost around 272,000 from upgrade losses and a further 1.2 million due to cancellation losses. In total, from Q4 of 2015 to Q4 of 2017, GHR has made 18.9 million euros in potential revenue. A more detailed breakup of this year-wise was present in our report. Okay.
Now let's talk on how we build the predictive model. So what are we predicting? We are predicting the instances where a customer will be upgraded. Recalling what an upgrade means, if a customer is assigned a room type which is alphabetically higher than the reserved room type, it means an upgrade. So to help with this, we created a new column called is upgraded, where we filled in the rows where customer is not upgraded to 0 and if the customer is upgraded to 1. After analyzing this particular column, we noticed that there is a high data imbalance. That is, instances where customer is not upgraded is way more higher than instances where customer is upgraded. Obviously, this imbalanced data would not be suitable for machine learning model. So this is how we handle the data imbalance. We use a combination of random oversampling and random undersampling to improve the ratio between majority class and minority class. In our case, majority class is the class where instances of not upgraded are present, and minority class is the class where instances of upgraded are present. So first we employ random oversampling on the minority class, where we duplicate some of the copies of minority class, and this increases the ratio instances in minority class. And then we employ random undersampling on the majority class, where we remove the random samples of the majority class
In our case, we ended up with a final ratio of 0.5. That is, for each upgraded instance, there is 2 not upgraded instances. Hence, we improved our data imbalance ratio from this to this. Now that our data is ready and suitable for machine learning model, let's move on to model selection. We chose different models based on different decision boundary concepts. We tried distance-based KNN, linear model-based logistic regression, kernel method-based SVM, and also tree-based ensemble methods such as XGBoost, AdaBoost, and CatBoost. Initially, we trained all the models without any tuning and ended up with base F1 score between 0.05 to 0.23, with CatBoost performing the best. Hence, we fixed our focus on CatBoost and further tuned it using hyperparameters. And our final F1 score was 0.40.
Okay, now that we finally have our model, how can GHR use our model? How can they benefit from this model? So we have identified 2 applications for GHR using our model, and each application uses the same model but with slightly different settings. So in the first application is all about optimizing overbookings. Let's say it's the month of September and GHR has the October month's reservations with them. So now we feed that to the model, and the model will identify all the instances where an upgrade might be required. So then, as previously discussed, we can calculate the upgrade loss due to these. So then we can compare this number with the historical data like June, July, August. And if this number is higher, which means that the hotel is overbooking more, so then we can use that to adjust how much overbooking we're doing. Here, our model is tuned for recall, meaning that our model is going to catch all instances of upgrades, even if it means that sometimes we misclassify our booking as requiring an upgrade, even if it does not require. So here, the number that is finally predicted in the loss will be high, which means that this indicates the maximum potential loss that could happen to GHR. So it will give you an idea of the maximum loss that could happen due to upgrades. So this is our first application. The second application is all about improving preparedness. So again, let's say it's the month of March and GHR has the April reservations. We feed that to the model. Again, the model will output instances where an upgrade is required, but this time along with the probabilities of the prediction. So if you look at the first booking here, the prediction is 0, meaning that this booking probably does not require an upgrade, and the model is 79% sure of that. And if we look at here, the prediction is 1, meaning that this booking probably requires an upgrade, and the model is 70% sure that it requires an upgrade. So GHR staff can use this data and look at which bookings have a high probability. Let's say, for example, let's say 80%. We obviously need to do more research on what number to fix on. But for bookings with really high probability of being upgraded, GHR staff can use that and better prepare for the customer's arrival, like getting ready the room for which they might be upgraded and many other things. Here, our model is tuned for precision, meaning that when our model says it is an upgrade, it really will be an upgrade. Although we might miss some instances where an upgrade might be required, that is, but when we are saying an upgrade, it is an upgrade, it really will be an upgrade. That is, we are minimizing the false positives. Okay, now coming to model explainability. So how does our model think, or what are the factors that influence the model to say that a particular customer might require an upgrade or not? So if we look at the first 2 factors, it's the average daily rate and the room type. So if we look at the room data, room type A has been upgraded the most. Here, room type A is the high volume, low cost room that tends to be overbooked by hotels, like usually. And therefore, if everybody shows up, some of them might have to be upgraded. So that is why room type is an important factor here. And ADR is kind of tied to room type because they are highly correlated. A particular room type will have a typical ADR that is associated with it. So that is why we have ADR here. And the next factor is lead time. So if we look at the lead times, I'm not sure if it's visible, but all of the lead times are short lead times, 0, 5, 2. So consider this example. Let's say Harshad Ali has booked the hotel 2 months ago and GHR wants to overbook a particular room. So they do not remove that listing from their website. And I booked the same room 2 days prior to her arrival for the same date. Now, still their hotel is betting that Harshita is going to cancel. But now she does not. She already has that room. Now I show up. Now GHR is obliged to give me an upgrade. That is why we see that pattern. The next one is deposit type, especially no deposit. So no deposit means the customer did not make any deposit and the hotel is at risk of losing money if the customer cancels. So no deposit room rates are sold more. So that I mean in order to prevent protect against cancellation. Therefore, so if everybody shows up again, they have to give an upgrade. The next few factors are booking date, arrival date, and arrival date. So if we look at when these upgrades are taking place, it's at 9, 10, 11, 12 months. That means towards the end of the year. That's why our model thinks that this is an important factor. So these are just some of the factors that we can explain right now.
Now let's see how we can improve the current cancellation policy of GHR. Before that, let's focus on what are the factors that influence cancellation. These are some of the interesting factors from our analysis. The first factor is timing. From the graph here, we can see that though the cancellation count is more during September, October, the overall cancellation proportion is high during months of April to June. This includes both advance and last minute cancellation. And from the graph here, we can see that longer lead time leads to higher advance cancellation. One possible explanation for this would be customer would have booked long time ago before their arrival and they tend to cancel or change their plans. So this might lead to the cancellations. And moving on to next factor, market segment. Here we can see that online TATO has the highest cancellation proportion. This might be due to the reason of TATO offering a flexible platform where customers can compare rates between different hotels. If customer finds better deal somewhere else, there's a high chance that customer will cancel the current booking. Although from our analysis, we noticed that TATO has the lowest proportion of last minute cancelers. And by analyzing GHR's market segment, it's evident that group bookings cancel the most. This might be a problem to GHR because of higher room unoccupancy and also high revenue loss. And the third factor, customer. From the graph here, we can see that as the previous cancellation increases, so does the probability of future cancellation, aligning with the intuition. This means that if a customer has cancelled in the past, there's a high probability that customer will be cancelling the reservation again. Moreover, here we can see that as the booking changes increases, the cancellation probability drops, which is a good thing because if a customer has made booking changes to suit their needs, they tend not to cancel as GHR tend to satisfy their requirements, which is a good thing about GHR. Moving on to the last factor, money. Here it's evident that cheaper rooms tend to get more cancelled than the expensive room. However, last minute cancellation proportion is slightly higher for the executive room type rather than deluxe room type. Based on all this analysis, we recommend following cancellation policy amendments to GHR. The first one, introduce more non-refundable rates during months of April to June, where there is high cancellation rate overall, offering a 10 to 20% discount. As this is non-refundable, GHR gets to keep the deposit and this guarantees revenue for GHR. And second, for customers with refundable deposit and who tend to cancel last minute, GHR can return the deposit as a voucher, which can be redeemable for future stay at GHR. And we recommend this voucher system only for last minute cancelers though. And third, for bookings with longer length of stay and customers seeking a fully refundable option for advance cancellation, we recommend GHR to fix an additional fixed fee. For the flexible cancellation privileges, what we recommend is for length of stay ranging from 1 to 3 days, maybe 10% of daily rate, and for length of stay ranging from 4 to 7 days, maybe 15%, and for length of stay ranging 8+ days, maybe 15 or 20% of daily rate. And fourth, to address the surging booking cancellation, we strongly recommend GHR to renegotiate the contracts with some of the high cancellation booking companies we identified in our report. And all these cancellation companies are prone to last minute cancelers, so renegotiating would be helpful. And fifth, to control the group booking cancellations, one, clear communication with group leader would be important. And second, we recommend implementing a phased deposit system, starting with a small deposit and followed by incremental payments towards the arrival date. How is this going to help? This is gonna help in two ways. One, it helps GHR to ease financial burden on the groups, and also it guarantees revenue. And at last, we recommend GHR to implement a loyalty point system where guests can earn points with each successful booking redeemable for future stays. Well, this is going to help in three ways. One, it encourages the repeated guest, and two, it helps to reduce cancellation, and three, it incentivizes customer to maintain their current booking and tend not to cancel.
Okay, finally, let's look at the final concern for GHR, that is maximizing potential revenue in other ways. So first one is refining the room rate. If we look at the room rates that were directly booked through GHR and by external, tour operators and online operators, we can see that it's almost the same or even slightly higher. So a rate parity agreement between the OTAs and the hotel says that the hotel cannot price its room rates lower. So meaning that the room rates have to be same for all of its booking distribution channels. However, in 2021, Portugal has banned such agreements. So there was an amendment to the competition law which banned that, meaning that now hotels are free to price rooms lower than these OTAs. And we recommend GHR to take complete advantage of this and strategically price their rooms lower on their own websites, meaning that they will attract more direct bookings. And direct bookings means they get to keep more revenue rather than leaking it as commission to these OTAs. The next one is improving room occupancy. Here, if we look at this graph, we can see that even for customers who are staying for longer, the room rate remains almost the same. So a simple strategy here might be to offer slight discounts to customers who are staying longer. But however, this would not work as customers always book how long they want to stay. So you cannot convince them to stay longer. So our strategy here is not to incentivize customers to stay longer, but rather to attract customers who want to stay longer. So I'll explain what this means. Considering that this hotel is located in Lisbon, Portugal, which is like a hub for several festivals and events, the hotel can partner up with events, local events such as the Indie Festival, which is a 11-day independent film festival, or the Web Summit, which is a event which gathers data scientists, coders from all around the world. So they can offer discounted passes and also tie up with these events along with the room rates. So here we are attracting customers who want to stay for the entire period of that event. So that will improve their room occupancy. Finally, after analyzing the booking meal patterns in our data, we found that guests with children or babies tend to prefer to have a pre-booked meal plan with the hotel rather than not having it at all. So this shows us that families, prefer to have the convenience of having a pre-booked meal plan with the hotel, so that it alleviates the stress of finding dining reservations during their vacation. So, and we also identified that families visit GHR the most during the months of July and August. So GHR, recognizing this trend, can strategically contract more kitchen staff and also ample grocery during these months and cut down on their expenditure in other months. So this will help improve their resource planning and save a lot of revenue for them.
Well, thank you for checking in on our findings. This was a rundown on GHR. If you ever want analysis on your hotel, we have just an email on it. We're open to questions.
Sure, take the time. So I've kind of got two here. I'll start with one and then you dived into a lot of explanatory analysis. I really appreciate that. Going back way early on, you had an assumption on greater than 3-day cancellations being filled. Were you able to prove that in your analysis?
So it is mentioned in the data set that GHR does not have the ability to fill the room. It was mentioned in the data that we were given that they do not have the ability to fill the room if it was last minute. So we assumed the opposite if it was for our advance.
Okay. I was just curious if you were ever considered something like a hedge, like a 5 or 10% application for that. So I could assume things being a month out easily filled. The 4 or 5 days, you're probably still getting a little tight. So That was nitpicking, that's all. The other is, I thought there were great recommendations throughout, lots of things to do. Did you guys model the impact of your recommendations to show kind of the revenue for what you're projecting they would bring?
We did not model the, yeah. Because the data, I mean, it's like a kind of a limitation of the data set, like we do not know, although we know the number of room types, we don't know how many rooms are there. And what happened to the canceled customer, there's like no information on that in the data set.
Okay.
So if we had that, maybe we could have done more.
Yeah, and I'm just asking these questions, so if you have a good response. But yeah, that's where my head would go quickly, it's okay, we're pitching this. What does it mean? So, thanks.
Excellent job. So much data and so many facts in there. And I love the way you kept it very clear and concise. It was easy to read. Most of us, when we're reading a presentation, PowerPoint, we want to see the bullets, right? From my own experience with the hotels and revenue managing, overbooking, it's a practice that we all do. Nobody wants to admit it or hear about it. But we do it all the time. And I was just speaking with one of my properties just this morning, and we do the same thing where we know that there's one room pool that we will continue to overbook, and we will deliberately upgrade people. And it helps. It helps. I think one of the things we speak about is the reputation of the hotel, and we want to wow the guests. Okay, what better way to wow the guest is to upgrade them when you can. I know it was mentioned before that some of the pieces may not have been shared with the students, but again, the cost per occupied room and what that cost is definitely going to have an impact as to whether or not it makes sense to always do that, because the larger the room, the more housekeeping minutes, the more minutes it's going to take to turn that room over for the next. But it sounds like you also have a recommendation to resolve some of that too. When you talk about length of stay and putting people, developing some packages so that you can have people stay longer. We love it when people stay longer at the hotels. We love it because it's less wear and tear, there's less housekeeping work that needs to be done. And it just, again, if you're not flipping the room, it actually takes that operating cost down. And the last thing I'll give credit to, as you mentioned, one of your recommendations to renegotiate with the online travel agents. I wish it was that easy. Expedia and Booking.com, there's a reason why they're in business, and they, for a branded hotel, it's 12.5% on average commission. For an independent, it's upwards of 20% commission that we have to take out. So the more we could do with getting them to direct book, the more profitable it is for the hotel. So love that recommendation.
So following your opinion, so I have a question. So when you talk about the length of stay, so you talk about the incentives, for example, combined with the local effect, right? This question I think also for we have your and Wendy, the hotel expertise here. So does this help like to give the discount for the people to stay like double longer than 1 week or 10 days? But actually, I seldom see the hotel do this. The Airbnb, they do this. If you stay longer, they give the discount. So is this a applicable way or is it just conduct?
It is, and I think, so in my portfolio of 66, I have about 10 what's called extended stay properties, and those extended stay hotels directly compete for extended stay business, right? So, and we define extended stay anything above 7 nights. So once you start booking and you're looking at if you book between 1 to 7, perhaps the rate's $159, but 7 and up, 7 to 14, we'll do a tier where it's maybe $10 to $20 lower. And then the next tier, we'll bring that down another 20. And then if it's 30 plus, we'll bring it down significantly because we want that business. It's more profitable. I think it's just a matter of shopping right on that hotel website.
Yeah.
So that's what I always do here, hotel website.
So I have one question for you. Great job for explaining all this, and also I like the way you explain, the scenario for the upgrading cancellation. So you got this 28 column data, right? If you have a chance to add one more column, what would that be?
Other than the ones that you did create, like take one new piece of data.
So we would like to have the reason for the upgrade, like if it was a free upgrade, or sometimes even the customer might pay for the upgrade, upon their arrival. Maybe that would help us give a more, accurate analysis. And also maybe like the rooms, the exact rooms, although we know it is A, B, C, D, F, G, we don't know how many room types, how many rooms of each type there exist. And maybe like what happened to the cancelled customer, maybe that information would help.
There are many instances where there was a no show, we are not sure like what was the reason. And all it would have been helpful if we had like another column reason for upgrade or cancellation.
During the analysis, you had mentioned looking back at the impact of previously canceled customers, decision to cancel again in the future. Have you taken a look at customers that were upgraded, likelihood to book an upgraded room the second time around?
So here we are assuming that they're all for upgrades given by the hotel and not exactly by the customer. So we have not looked into that.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about like the longer term value perhaps behind it, but one other question I had, and you raised a really interesting recommendation around a phased deposit system. I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more around like the implementation strategy there. Is that something that would basically be a flat line across all bookings, or how would you do that?
So what we recommend is for group bookings to leave the initial financial burden on them. There is no much research about it in the internet, so we came up with our own assumption or like own research. So what we recommend is we can maybe give for the initial phase one, they can pay like 5 to 10% of the deposit amount. And for the phase two, maybe they can pay like 20 to 30% of remaining amount during the initial deposit. And like closer to the arrival date, customer can pay the remaining amount, like excluding the deposit and all the payments. And also if they have paid like in the correct window, maybe we can give them 2 to 3% discount on the final booking. This like attracts more group bookings is what we.
Yeah, but for the non-refundable, again, look for literature, but it's very rare. So we did our own research. We went on Expedia and then we tried to book these rooms for different lengths of stay. And but however, even for changing the length of stay, the extra fee for fully refundable booking was always between 10 to 11%. So that we set that as the baseline, then they slightly increase the percentage for longer lengths.
Thank you.
I want to see if I don't want Wendy to feel like she always has to go last. So
Wendy, would you like to make some comment?
I just wanted to say great job. I agree with the questions that everybody else asked. They were some of my thoughts. I do have just one piece of feedback. And it could be because I'm on a Zoom call. You might want to speak slower. I was missing some of the things that you were saying, so I had to infer what you meant. That was all, but again, I think there are some great insights. Thank you.
I had one question. Because of this differential between the self-booked and the vendor booked or the service booked, did you see any difference between the self-booked and the vendor booked with regard to cancellation rates or upgrade likely?
We have not analyzed that area, but we analyzed only the costs. Rates. Yeah.
Great.
I wouldn't upgrade anybody from a online travel agency. So I've been in a hotel.
I agree with him though, just saying.
Wendy, you were seconding Jason.
Thank you.
I said I agree with them. No upgrades of OTA.
Good to know.
Well, we like to give huge congratulations to business as usual on their math presentation, their analysis, I think we're all really impressed by what you presented today. Thank you.
Okay, nice. So now let's welcome our third team to present. This is Robolytics from business analytics students from U of R. So they're going to be presenting their findings on this data set.
Sorry.
Okay, they changed the interface.
PowerPoint.
Okay. Did you guys send me before?
I sent you the PowerPoint on email. You can download it so you can use the clicker.
Only okay.
On the email.
On the email.
Yeah. It's Google Drive link.
Oh, the Google Drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this
She's gonna explain the name Robolytics.
It's more of an inside joke, honestly.
Okay. The other one is again.
Was it?
Yeah, you don't have to.
It's not.
Maybe next year.
I better download of.
Yeah. Let's download. PPTX. Yeah.
And here's a clicker, so try to see if it works. Try click it, see if it works. Wait, there you go. I got it.
We've all heard the saying, actions speak louder than words. Well, for global hotels and resorts, it's actually numbers that speak louder than words. But they don't just speak, they tell a story of untapped potential and unrealized profits. Today, we're going to embark on a journey through an in-depth analysis that will focus on maximizing GHR's potential revenue. But first, let's introduce Team Robolytics.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us here today. Pleasure to meet you all. I'm Sahib, leader of the seat. I'm from Simon Business School, Master's in Business Analytics.
Hey, everybody. My name is Bamedi, but I go by Wazim. I am a software engineer. So I background in software engineering, and I'm also a business analyst student.
Hello, I'm Aditi, and I'm also studying business analytics at Simon Business School.
Morning, everyone. I'm Joseph. I'm also from the Simon Business School, studying business analytics, and this is the situation. Global Hotels and Resorts wants to maximize the potential revenue of their hotel in Lisbon, Portugal. In this analysis, we're going to look at the impact of upgrades on revenue. We're going to predict the probability of free upgrades. We're going to assess the impact of last-minute cancellations. And lastly, we're going to recommend strategies to maximize revenue potential. Let's take a look at what we know or what we've been given. So the hotel's revenue can be best calculated using this formula. Potential revenue equals the revenue gain from hotel stays minus the revenue loss from free upgrades minus the revenue loss from last-minute cancellations. To calculate the revenue gain from hotel stays, we multiply the average daily rate times the total length of the stay at the hotel. When it comes to upgrades, we define upgrades as going from a deluxe room to an executive room. Lastly, for cancellations, according to the hotel, last-minute cancellations are considered to be cancellations that happen within 3 days of the booking's arrival date. Now we can explore our data set. While we were exploring our data set, we noticed a few imbalances and a few limitations. Firstly, when we were looking at an overview of booking data per year, we noticed that there was incomplete data in the year of 2015. A lot of the months were left out in this year, sorry. Next, we weren't really given a clear definition of what an upgrade was at the beginning. So we assumed, again, that an upgrade is going from a deluxe room type A, B, C, or D to an executive room type E, F, or G. Next, we noticed that there was no actual room price provided to us in this data set. So we had to come up with that ourselves. And lastly, we noticed that the number of deluxe rooms greatly outweighed the number of executive rooms, with over 2/3 of the rooms being deluxe rooms. In our analysis approach, we took 3 steps. We prepared the data, cleaned it, and finally divided the data set up by time periods. And the tools that we used in our analysis were Python, RStudio, Tableau, and Excel. In our data cleaning and augmentation, we made sure to remove and identify null values or NAs. We also were able to create and add a few variables or columns of our own in here, like total stay, which is the sum of weekday and weekend nights, which gave us a clearer picture of the total length of the stay per booking. Cancel lead time is the number of days before the booking was canceled. And if this number was less than or equal to 3, then it meant that it would fall under the hotel's last minute cancellation policy, which is the cost of a 1-night stay in that booking. Total guests is self-explanatory. Total guests is the number of total guests in that booking, which combines the counts of adults, children, and babies. We also created an upgraded column that was a binary column, where in our analysis, an upgrade would get flagged if a guest room assignment was changed from a deluxe room to an executive room. Booking revenue was calculated by multiplying the ADR of the booking times the total stay of the booking. Actual room price was a variable that we created in order to see the average ADR for each room type over each time period, which we're going to go over in a little bit. And finally, to calculate the opportunity cost of free upgrades, we created this column called potential revenue lost. In our analysis, we also segmented the data set by years in order for us to calculate peak and off-peak seasons. Now, we did this to understand booking patterns because certain weeks had higher numbers of bookings than other weeks. And we also noticed during this that certain weeks had similar numbers of bookings. And so we were able to group together both peak weeks in one area and then off-peak weeks in another area to get the average, or to get, sorry, the actual room price per season. With all of that, we were able to solve the potential revenue equation. The revenue gain from hotel stays was around $22.6 million. The revenue loss from free upgrades was $2.6 million. And lastly, the revenue loss from last minute cancellations was around $436,000, giving us a total potential revenue of about $19.6 million. With that, my friend Aditi will now take you through our predictive analysis and what it means for GHR.
Thank you, Joseph. Now that we have a clear understanding of how we handled our data and how we segmented it, we can start with a predictive analysis to predict the probability of free upgrades as well as the impact it has on the revenue. Let's dive into our predictive model and the methodology with our predictive models. We started a journey with random boost because it is good at detecting the linear and non-linear relationship within our data set. Though it gave us a strong foundation, we wanted to confirm our results, so we employed 2 more predictive models, that is generalized linear regression and XGBoost. Now let's understand why we use these model factors as our predictors. Arrival week number. The time period when a booking is made influences the hotel occupancy as well as the upgrade procedure. For example, certain time period will have higher booking. Understanding this will help us refine our revenue strategies and upgrade policies. Potential revenue lost. This was a variable constructed by us to measure the opportunity cost. Understanding this will help us refine our upgrade policies. Assigned room. The room assigned to the guest has direct impact on the revenue. If the room was upgraded, then that leads to a potential revenue lost. So, including this in our analysis help us to gain the overall impact the upgraded room has on the revenue. Total stay. Length of the stay is very important in the revenue calculation, as longer stays lead to higher revenue. But we also needed to understand how upgrades play a role in respect to the longer stays. Lead time. The time between the booking and the arrival day influences the upgrade decision. For example, a last-minute booking will have a higher chance of getting upgraded due to availability. So we also needed to consider country, customer type, and market segment. As customers for different countries and different market segment will have varying behavior in regards to upgradation as well as cancellation. Having that information will help us to give recommendations which are market specific, customer specific, and region specific. Now that we have a clear understanding of why we chose these models as well as why we chose these model factors as the predictors, we can look at what our actual prediction was. Based on the historical data, what a model said was there's a 3% chance of GHR giving out a free upgrade. If they do give out that free upgrade, then they stand to lose approximately $149 per booking on average. But this was the overall prediction. Let's look at findings from each of these models. So, XGBoost turned out to be a champion when it comes to predicting the probability of free upgrades. This can be seen with a log loss of 0.053. Log loss measures the accuracy and the performance of a model in regards to classification problems. Lower the log loss, better is the model. While XGBoost was great at predicting the probability of complementary upgrades, when it comes to predicting or anticipating our revenue loss, generalized linear regression turns out to be the more accurate. And this can be seen through the confidence interval over here, which is very narrow. Lastly, random forest. Though we started our analysis with random forest, it gave us a good prediction and a good starting point, but turns out it was not our best model. This can be seen with the log loss here, which increased as compared to the XGBoost, as well as the confidence interval, which became wider. So in conclusion, all our models give out the same numbers and was telling us the same thing, that there's a 3% chance for GHR to give out complementary upgrades, and as well as it stands to lose approximately $149 on average on those free upgrades. Now I'll hand over to Sahil, which will go over the additional analysis that we went through.
Thank you so much, Aditi and Joseph, for giving us an idea about how we approach our data analysis and how we approach our predictive models and the interpretations we went with it. Now I will be walking you through a few of the insights we gathered from the data set, which will help GHR maximize potential revenue. So first, we wanted to take a look at the different booking revenue channels, which were the online TAs and the offline TAs and the direct. So we can see that the online TAs, the online travel agents, generated the highest amount of revenue. And this is an important analysis because we want to understand who are our highest money makers are, so that some possible strategies in the future might be in place to address specifically to them. Next, we wanted to look at cancellations, another huge aspect of the revenue equation that was introduced by Joseph earlier. Cancellations takes a fair amount of chunk out of the potential revenue. So we wanted to understand where these cancellations are coming from, how are they geographically dispersed. So we understood that Portugal, the host nation, they generate the highest number of last minute booking cancellations, and the neighboring countries closely follow. So This is an important analysis because this gives us an idea about will there be a strategy might be in the future addressing cancellations that are coming from neighboring countries. Then we wanted to take a look at our most loyal customer base. We wanted to ask ourselves the question, who are the repeated customers? We have found that 60% of the total repeated customers were from the corporate segment, which can mean that our most loyal customer base are the corporate customers, and it is a popular destination for office retreats and corporate programs. This can also tell us that in the future, we might want to consider targeted promotional plans to play to our strengths, which are our corporate market segment, to overall optimize the revenue in the future. Yeah. Next, we focus on upgrades, another aspect of our revenue equation. Upgrades are mostly given out by the online travel agents. So we can see that 50% of the total upgrades, free upgrades that were given out in the last 3 years were given out by online travel agents and closely followed by offline tour operators and direct bookings. This means that there can be a lot of reasons online travel agents can choose how to give upgrades. There might be sometimes service lapses or other reasons for which they are giving out a lot of upgrades. Now, we all know upgrades are something that are highly sought out by the customers. They love them, but it is potentially hurting our revenue as well, as we've already discussed and will in the future slides as well. So we might want to consider a lot of strategies in the future to address this particular aspect. To summarize, I've walked you through a few of the aspects which directly affect our revenue equation. Namely, first, we took a look at the cancellations. To summarize, Portugal was the nation that generated the highest number of cancellations. Then the repeated customers were again corporate customer sector. 60% of the repeated guests were from the corporate segment, and online TAs were responsible for about half of the free upgrades that were given out in the last 3 years. And the revenue generated by the online TAs were about 10.5 million in the last 3 years. So next, Moza will take over and discuss some recommendations, which is based on these insights we found out.
Thank you very much, Sahil, for those awesome booking patterns and insights. So I'm going to talk about recommendations that GHR can implement in terms of maximizing their potential revenue. Every reservation is a step closer to maximizing your potential revenue. We want to propose a strategy that helps us mitigate the effects of high cancellation or high rates of high last-minute cancellations. So as Sahil identified, Portugal, France, Italy, Great Britain, and Spain constituted the highest number of last-minute cancellations, with an estimated 400,000 in revenue loss for our GHR. So we want to implement a policy where we minimize the potential revenue loss due to these last-minute cancellations, while also taking customer preferences into consideration and benefiting GHR. So we want to implement a policy where we have a tier fee for high cancellation regions. So, for example, if a reservation was canceled within the last 7 days within the high cancellation regions, we could possibly implement a levy or fee of about 50% of the upgrade, instead of doing the 1 day ADR as currently is specified in our policies. So the further out the last minute cancellation, we reduce this penalty by 10%. As you can see, we go from 40 to 30 to 20 to 10. What's more important is the potential savings we can make by implementing such a policy. So, for example, cancellations made more than 30 days, which were well in advance, we could potentially save $500,000, $72,000 in terms of potential savings, which we can use to balance our loss and potential revenue. And the same would apply for all the other tiers. Travel agents love giving out free upgrades. So, And we want to propose a new system to manage this threshold. Imagine being able to control the number of free upgrades you give out to travel agents and also control potential revenue loss that you receive from those giving out those free upgrades. So we propose implementing a tool that will allow you to cap the number of free upgrades that you're giving out to travel agencies and still be able to give them out because, you know, they happen and, you know, free upgrades happen due to various reasons, but you don't want to affect the customer experience in the process. So our suggestion would be to have a cap per room type in a specific year for room upgrades. So for example, if you charge $116 for room type A and you upgrade it to E, F, or G, if you change your room price to about $190, you could effectively give out 2 upgrades without losing any potential revenue. So essentially, you're allowing for this ability to give out free upgrades and still balance your revenue loss. So we set that to $1 just because we assume that GHR would not want to lose any revenue at all, which is from free upgrades, which is unrealistic. So you would basically be setting your own caps to how much revenue you want to lose. So you're more in control of this potential revenue loss that you'd be incurring if you give out free upgrades. So yeah, the prices would also be fluctuating based on your preference on how you want to impact customers, because high prices obviously lead to lower booking because you're going to scare away the customers. When you look at upgrade from room type C, you're probably wondering why you're giving out 0 upgrades for that. So this is because due to this model is basically mirroring using historical data to calculate how much you can realistically give out. So due to the history of our bookings in 2017, we didn't give out very many upgrades from room type C for various reasons that you could have from the hotel, such as maybe popularity reasons of some sort. You don't think it's a suitable upgrade to give to customers, various reasons. So the model will continue to say, don't give out upgrades because that's not something you usually do. So as you can see, travel agents generated a revenue of 13 million, which means they are really a crucial part of our revenue model. So we need to factor these into their policies. Still on the matter of upgrades, we also discovered a new pattern in terms of prioritizing higher priced rooms for upgrades, basically, in order to minimize the opportunity cost of giving out free upgrades. So, for example, our slide kind of got messed up by the screen, but our numbers are showing the potential average loss you'd make from making upgrades from certain types of rooms. So in our first example, in 2017, if your actual room price of A is 117 and you're upgraded to room E, F, or G, approximately.
I mean, I'm just trying to see again the numbers.
Yes, we kind of missed it.
I think if you stream the PDF, maybe that's going to be fine. It's probably a version mismatch between the PowerPoints.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I just use one online then.
Yeah, PDF.
Yeah, the online one.
This one.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah, this one should be fine.
Then
Much better, yeah.
Yeah.
great, there we go. So as I was saying, yeah, so if you are upgrading from room type A or B to E or G, on average, you'd be losing $170 in potential revenue. Whereas moving from starting from C to D, moving to E, F, G, you lose an average of $117 average booking. This is a no-brainer. You want to use the plan that's going to mitigate your revenue loss. So you opt to go for option A and B to EFG for your free upgrades to reduce the potential revenue loss occurred. Now moving on from revenue loss mitigation to revenue generation, we propose a new policy on rewarding your repeat customers, your loyal customers. As Sahil identified, our corporate customers are our loyal repeat customers that we make a lot of revenue from because they return. In the 3-year period of our data set, they generated about $142,000 in revenue. And we did notice in 2016 to 2017, there was a decline in the revenue from these corporate customers. So to boost this, we proposed implementing loyalty programs to basically entice them to book more bookings so we can get more revenue, such as express checkout, complimentary services, such as conferencing facilities, and even flexible booking options, just to enhance their customer experience and get more revenue from them. Our last recommendation is prioritizing on our large number of deluxe rooms. We identified that, or we're told from the data set, that we have 237 deluxe rooms at our disposal. And in 2017, rooms that were actually reserved by customers counted up to 22,558, which was 94% of the total rooms that customers clicked to reserve when they were booking, which means there's a really high demand for them. Thus, we must prioritize on their availability. So we can cater to our high income brackets in those categories by offering luxury experiences, wellness focused sessions, celebration packages, and cultural immersion programs, and partnering with some of our local tour operators to promote these activities. This will in turn, we'll get some commission in terms of revenue from them, and will basically help us adjust our potential revenue loss, which was affected by upgrades, as you mentioned earlier. So to summarize our presentation, Joseph gave us an overview of the data set, how we clean the data, as well as how we express limitations and how we dealt with them. He also has told us how we augmented the data set and added additional variables to the key, such as potential revenue loss. Aditi then told us that we had 2-3% probability of giving out free upgrades, and within that, we are going to lose approximately $149 in revenue per booking due to giving out those free upgrades. So he'll then outline some upgrade and policy patterns and how our loyal customer base is identified and how we should treat them. I then gave you 5 recommendations on how we want to penalize late cancellations in high cancellation regions in terms of us getting some revenue back from those last minute cancellations. We also implemented or proposed a tool that can help us cap the number of upgrades we can give out for free without losing a lot of revenue based on a cap that we want to control. We also want to prioritize upgrades from higher priced rooms so that your revenue loss from giving out those free upgrades is less. Now to generate more revenue now, we also want to offer loyalty programs to entice our corporate customers for our big loyal base and make sure they keep coming back for more reservations. Lastly, we can augment our deluxe room package offerings to entice the popular demand for these rooms and generate more revenue from the demand from supplemental activities such as partnering with tour operators and getting a commission from that to basically counter the revenue loss we would have gotten from other sections such as giving out free admins and last minute cancellation. Now, a wise man once said, actions speak louder than words, but we have shown that numbers speak even louder. If you implement these policies at GHR, we're sure you can maximize your potential revenue to the best of your ability. Thank you. Now taking questions.
Why don't we see if Wendy wants to go first?
First of all, great job. I think you guys had a great presentation and again, some thoughtful insights. I did have a question though of what did you see in the data that led you down a path to prioritize the upgrades as you're noting?
Sorry, you missed part of the last question.
So what did you see in the data? One of the things on that last slide was you said prioritize the upgrades. And actually the loyalty was the other one. I'm asking, what did you see in the data that led you to that?
So basically, we were saying we were gonna prioritize upgrades on the higher priced rooms. So if the room price that we had was higher on average, would basically give upgrades to those rooms versus room prices that were priced lower. And then to basically mitigate the amount of loss you get versus upgraded from a lower price room to a very expensive room. So that's how we prioritize the upgrades. So we give them to rooms that are priced higher on average so that the loss is minimized.
To the AB rooms rather than the CB.
Right. I was
Yes,
gonna go back to the slide, but can.
yeah,
see
we are
it?
not saying that prioritize upgrades. We are saying if you are going to give upgrades, rather give it to from higher price rooms so that you can mitigate your losses.
Yes, what?
Yeah, and then I have the same question for you of that last slide. You were offering recommendations and packages. Did you look at the cost at all of what those packages were, of how you then came up with, yes, this is actually going to balance out and bring in more revenue?
Yeah, so in our investigation, we looked up the average price of these packages, such as like the tours in the cities. And we basically, on average, we were like around $300 per person. So in order to calculate basically the revenue we can make from that, we multiplied that by a portion of our revenue expected from those tour operators and the number of people we expect to book those from our section, our 200,000 deluxe room. 222,000 deluxe room bookings. So we basically had a number that in our report to basically, project how much revenue we get from those to offset our revenue loss from the upgrades.
Okay, and then the last question I had is, in your appendices, do you have, based on those theories and based on what you're recommending, here is the revenue? So for example, if you looked at some of the other presentations, they actually showed you, here's the potential revenue.
You quite guess the last part?
I think we have for one of the recommendation where we are saying that if you do implement this, then you're potentially saving this much amount. I think that is for our cancellation policy, where we're saying that put up a tiered cancellation. There we have calculated, if you do that, then how much would you have potentially saved if you would have done in the past. But that gives us a nice protection for future as well.
Okay, thank you.
A question kind of building off of one of Wendy's questions there. So under the loyalty program recommendation, one of the options you put out there was flexible booking options, which generally entails like the ability to cancel flexibly. With that, was there like any sort of flag in the data itself that pointed you to making that recommendation, perhaps like a likelihood to not cancel?
I would say this. I think in a previous presentation by one of the other teams, we kind of mentioned that we have a lot of these cancellations, but we don't have the reasoning behind why they canceled. And so we maybe thought, okay, maybe this person had to cancel specifically because, I don't know, they had gotten the date wrong for one of their like weeks that they had off from work that they had decided to call off, right? And maybe, they can't really like change it now because they've already set it for that week specifically. And so we thought, okay, if we can offer them flexible booking options to say, okay, we see that you've booked room C for June 6th till June 13th. We're like, okay, if you were gonna cancel that booking originally, but you still would wanna stay at the hotel just at a different time. Say maybe instead it was like June 20th to June 27th, we could potentially reschedule that and put those days in and still allow you to come to the hotel, so we're not losing that money when they cancel. That was our idea behind it. It wasn't necessarily that the data set had shown us something concrete, it was more so just an idea that we had behind it.
To mitigate the loss of it elsewhere.
Okay.
Got it.
Recommendations, well, first, very enthusiastic, love the presentation style.
Thank
you. Speaking of recommendations, you wanted to boost the corporate segment, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, besides being the largest, are we able to prove or tease out that they were also the most profitable per booking? Not just the highest volume, because maybe the decline could have been a good thing. If we were focusing on higher margin segments, yeah.
Do we have this slide? Which slide are you looking at? We have the. Let me share screen where.
Yeah, it's this one, because you, and then so there was another where it was, they were down.
Recommendation.
I think we have in the appendix.
What's it?
We did a breakdown of the segments. in the
Yeah, right,
appendix.
it's in the appendix.
Scroll down to. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so it's, yeah. So basically, we did a breakdown of the, okay, this is not quite the one, but it was basically filtered by the free customers, and corporate was always on top in that section. So that's how we came up with that number.
Okay. Would be worth, probably some normalization there, yeah, per customer. Yeah, both things. Cool, thanks.
I was intrigued by the tiered cancellation fees based on geography. And that being tied to the fact that there were disproportionate numbers of cancellations. But actually, disproportionate is the question I wanted to get at. So there were differential rates of cancellation by geographies. What I was wondering is, how did those distributions compare to total bookings in the data set? Meaning Portugal was by far the source of the most cancellations. But if the proportion is the same to total bookings, then the justification for the tiered cancellation fees might come into question. Do you follow me? Do you recall how the geographic distribution in the entire data set compared to the geographic distribution in the cancellation numbers?
Yeah, we just specifically look at that, but that's definitely.
Yeah, it's more worth thinking about, you know, if it's similar. Then if it's not similar, then the tiered cancellation is well justified. If it is similar, then it might not be easy.
Yeah, we're just looking at it from the standpoint of the impact on the cancellations, but sure isolated. So, yeah, that's a very good point that it might balance out in the long run because the number of
Total
proportion
revenue.
of booking there.
Great job. Just one question on the recommendations to the tiering the country of origin where those cancellations are coming from. If you did a tiered process, are there any legalities that maybe need to be explored if I'm doing my cancellation? It's different for people coming in from one country versus another, just something that may need to be considered.
So I think transparency here is key when they're booking. If they are booking from a specific region that falls under that policy of ours, we can be transparent from the very beginning and announce or communicate that if you cancel within this parameters, this will be the penalty for cancellations. I think transparency here is the way to go so that customers do not feel that they're treated unfairly against guests from other regions?
Just to add on to that as well, I think, one other idea that we had while we were coming up with that sort of structure is, when we noticed that Portugal was the country that had the highest number of last minute cancellations, and also the fact that the hotel itself is in Lisbon, Portugal, I think you can kind of, make an inference and say like, it could be that close proximity to the hotel that will maybe say, oh, I can cancel it if the hotel is only like a half hour away from us, like we don't have to, we don't have to cancel like too far ahead of time, whereas maybe for countries that are, neighboring Portugal in Europe, they might have less of a reason to cancel last minute just because of the distance and the logistics that's required to get to Lisbon in the first place to get to the hotel. So yeah, the transparency is definitely important to look at when it comes to this as well.
I think we like the way that you have comparison of the different models and also we have the conclusion of recommendations of the job. So is there any challenging part when you do the data analysis? You can say no. If yes, what is that?
The most challenging part, I would say, was that because we didn't have the actual room price, we needed to figure out the best way to predict that price or come up with a price that would help us with all the other analysis. Because if we went wrong right there, then all our prediction wouldn't, be accurate or we wouldn't be confident about our results. That's why the time series analysis really helped us with that to come up with the room price.
We went over that dozens of times as well. I mean, even last night, we were still going over this and making sure the numbers were correct. So we tried our best to look at our numbers each time that we got results and, kind of compared them from there.
Yeah. And the important thing was making sure it makes like logistical sense. Because obviously, yeah, you can do all these calculations and get all these numbers, but do they like make sense in real life? Like obviously our upgrade cap policy, for example, was giving like crazy high room rates that you would charge, but obviously in real life, you wouldn't really charge the customer that much. Basically, like cut the price down and take the revenue loss hit because you're gonna give up the free analytics. But yeah, things like that were really intriguing to analyze, for sure.
All right, thank you so much. Oh, Wendy.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just have a question for you, Kwong. Did the students have access to the cost of the acquisition of the guest? Jason kind of alluded it to before, where the most expensive is an OTA. So, but I don't know if they had access to the knowledge of that cost in it.
Yeah,
They
do not have the knowledge of the cost of acquisitions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Wendy, I'm gonna ask you to stay here, and the judges gonna go to different rooms to talk about the result. Melu, since you have the laptop, can you open it up and then log into the Zoom? I will put you guys into a private room in here so we can discuss it. Okay? And then once you guys finish, let's come back here and then we announce the winner. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kwong, I'm gonna be on the call. I'm just gonna step out and come right back here though. Okay.
Oh, sure.
All right.
Oh, happy to be done.
Yeah.
I think the room next door is going to be open. Let's go. One of the
meeting room.
Oh, okay.
11:35.
Right, I'll be there in 2 minutes.
All right. I'll go. Yeah, I can help you.
Yeah.
Showing from which is our school, was like the numbers that. So big.
We should have presented just all the slides at the beginning. I was going to go. Maybe, no, it's great. Let's do the.
Go ahead.
So now we're taking. I am going to comment. Yeah. I'll have to take like here, that way.
Some research. It changes. We did. It's true. Data science was super technical.
We did that. Yes. Oh, maybe that needs that, but we had it.
Yeah, can you?
And it's been on the
You guys are treating us very well. So.
like for.
I will say thank you so much. Okay.
So that's fine. Yeah, the same. There is. If you have nuances.
It was 177. You said 170. I'm on the side. Okay, then it's very. So one day. You see it's just doing.
They earn their way. Yeah.
It was 177. 177.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
So there's one vegetable, I think the one. You want the olive? Yeah. This one is the big round vegetables.
Yeah. That's a good piece.
No.
I actually found out,
And Wendy, I'm gonna put you into a private. With the chat.
You said, bro, look, this is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
170. And then for this, when you see, you get 117. It's a no brainer.
And Wendy into a breakout room?
Yes.
No, don't assign automatically, yeah. There we go.
The ball currently in motion.
Wendy, please go to the private rooms, the breakout rooms. Where the chat is there.
I know how it's
Menlu, please go to your breakout room.
Everybody did it, same.
No, of course, but like, as in, it's like, right, some of the things that are like, no, the last part of the next week.
So, hey, where is our lunch?
Yes.
They don't hear us. We're wondering where our lunch is.
I'm just making
Oh,
sure
the
that
dog.
we can't hear them.
One thing that we forget, or one thing that we.
Oh, go ahead. I'm focusing on the delicious lunch, yes.
Yes.
Hey, Kwong.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I was just saying that the just finished the discussions, so they are back. We're gonna give everybody, let's say 5 minutes. We need to make sure that we have all the results here and get some of the paperwork done before we make the announcement. Okay, so let's aim for about 12:40 when we do the announcements. Okay.
Cool. Do you wanna?
That's just me eating my pizza.
Okay, everyone, sorry to interrupt your conversations, but I think we are ready. So please have a seat. We're gonna reserve that wall for pictures, so I'll ask you guys to put the chair back, over there.
Stand over there.
Yeah. So stand at the back or here. Yes, fine.
Oh, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I did pretty good. Thank you very much.
So, photographers ready? Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. One thing slightly from the script. I'm gonna first asking all of the jazz go up. And in here. We Sorry, I got the flowers. I was like, oh man. Oh, so this is to
Look down.
for fixations. Winter, sorry, summer is coming, so this is a
Parasol.
losses. Okay, flowers.
Super conditions can't open the doors.
I guess let's get some the script, the next step in the script.
So we're excited to introduce the dean of Saunders College.
Well, on behalf of Saunders College, I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, judges, for taking the time to engage in our competition. Thanks to the teams for all your hard work and efforts. I know you put a huge amount of time into this. But certainly you believe in applying real world learning, using real data to solve problems. And I think you did that today. And I hope it was a great experience. So we look forward to the results.
And so this is how we're doing.
One other group I want to thank, and that's the faculty. So I know that Neo, Dr. Bui, and Sean Hansen,
Vic is really, Vic and Neo are really the two.
and me and Lou, you also put a huge amount of time into this in terms of developing a problem for the students to solve. I'm not sure they're thanking you. Because I know it was challenging, but a lot of time and effort in supporting this competition.
Yep.
And really providing this learning opportunity for the students. So thank you for all your.
Thank you very much. You also mentioned Professor Jing Tang and Professor Ali.
They're not here now.
They're not here, but they have been deeply involved all throughout this process, beginning in the fall, all the way through to now.
Yeah.
Helping us to design the challenges and evaluate them in the overall.
So now, without further ado, I'm gonna ask the judges to clear the stage. And so
I'll stand up
gonna
and
stand here
give
and
comments.
he's gonna give some comments. I'll be here to support and Jackie, you gonna stand up here? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, MC, why don't you? Actually, so you want to, all right, so let's give this a road drum.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say the judges, I think I can speak for all the judges. It was a very difficult decision because we thought all of the teams were just fantastic. And it's very clear that this is sort of the cream rising to the top over the course of multiple rounds. of an exercise because your professionalism across the board was just excellent. The insights that you generated were fantastic, so, we can't say enough about how well you did. First runner-up, the first runner-up team is the gold medal analysis team. And something. It was second. I did the Warren Beatty, mess up at the.
Let me see if I can.
Academy Award.
Yeah.
Second runner-up team is gold medal analysis team.
So congratulations, gold medal analysis. Let's see.
And I want to give them some of our comments. We thought they were, I can wait till, to make sure they can hear us.
Screen.
And then you position the camera so that you guys are visible and not me. The presentation was incredibly engaging. We thought it was very creative and entertaining. We thought the storytelling was really excellent. The family, the family and the Mr. William, and it was just really excellent storytelling with data. We also wanted to call out the fact that this is a first-year undergraduate team, which was super impressive. And we want to make sure that you continue to come back for subsequent years or to compete in subsequent rounds of the business analytics team because we were just so impressed with you. So great job. They will get certificates.
So so there's a certificate. Since we are not able to give it to you now, we will send it to you through mail. Set up, or we can
Bring it with you.
immediately to you in the summer. So, yeah. So congratulations.
The first
Thanks
runner-up
very
team
much.
begins-
Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you. As I go through these, I keep wanting to say how difficult this decision making was because it was so great, so great from all three teams. The first runner-up team is the Robolytics team. Please. Again, we felt your professionalism was just exquisite. Also, similar to what I said earlier, your storytelling, your ability to tell the story with the data and to really engage. To really engage the audience was fantastic. And we also thought you reflected some really innovative thinking and in crafting those recommendations. So it was, it was just very impressive how you came up with some very creative solutions. Again, congratulations. Fantastic. And now the winner of the competition, not a secret anymore, is business as usual. Some of the things the judges commented on was just your excellent engagement with the data and really having a strong sense of what the data could give you and where the limitations existed and tying the recommendations to the findings that emerged from the data. We also thought you did an excellent job of communicating the technical details of the analysis in a way that was easy for us as an audience to understand what you were seeing in the data without having on our part to get into the data itself. And again, professionalism was just fantastic. So we were very impressed with all of you.
All right. So there you have, folks, the winners of the 2024 Saunders.
Third annual.
Yeah, the fourth annual.
Fourth annual. Jesus.
Gonna give it back to the MCs for the final of the program.
So we're just going to be closing up right now. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to the 2024 Saunders Business Analytics Competition final event. We would like to give special thanks to all the judges for their thoughtful deliberation and participation today. Huge congratulations to all of the teams on this great accomplishment. Your hard work and talent will bring you far. It showed great commitment to your educational growth to partake in a competition such as this. And it has been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to next year's round.
Yeah, let's do a team photo with all of the judges. If you want to choose a spot.
This is fine. We can also go out in the hallway, but if all the judges can get together and then our teams can get together with the judges as well.
Everybody,
Yes.
Gold
We'll
medal
do
analysis.
everybody at once and then we can kind of
Maybe
break
you
it
guys
up.
can take some pictures now. What was the best way to do it?
I'm gonna do gold medal. We'll do that right now.
Okay, smile, you guys all the.
Can you move your cursor?
Look to the camera.
You want Keith? Is Keith Weber there?
Yeah, Keith, why don't you come into the pictures too?
Yeah. Can we move a little bit this side?
Stop the recordings.